Okay. So I've been paying attention a lot to the news about the protests and the rioting and looting, and I've been on Facebook for far too long reading into everybody's opinions and uh, you know their points of view on the situation. And I was going to write something myself, but then it turned into something else much longer, and I figured that I would just make a video on it and give my opinion here. But I will read from a statement that I wrote. George Floyd was murdered. There isn't a gray area on this one for me. I watched the video and I watched how the officer just stood there, knelt there on George Floyd, and really didn't seem to care about that man's life. Um, George Floyd is a name that I should never heard about. I should have never heard about this man. Um, this shouldn't have happened, and it did because there was an officer who just didn't care about his life. As the protests started out peacefully, eventually they became riots and looting. And if you're okay with this, I understand. If you're not okay with these riots and the looting, then ask yourself what would happen if someone you love died the way George Floyd died. Imagine being a friend or family member having to hear your father, your son, brother, your mother, your daughter, your sister, or friend just begging for their life. And I can't breathe should not be the last thing anyone says on this earth while being detained in that way for that reason. Um, I did this practice. I saw someone say, set a timer up for 7 to 9 minutes and watch it count down. And I want you guys to at least try that. Set a timer, 7 to 9 minutes, and then watch it count down. And I mean, really watch it. Watch the seconds go down without any distraction. And trust me, after the first minute, you'll be bored and you'll want to look away. And don't. And as the time goes down, for every second that passes, imagine struggling to breathe that entire time. Um, so when I see the looting and rioting and destruction, I see the anger and the opportunity to release it. If you're if you're afraid of this anger, that's fine, but remember why it's there. And if you think that people are just looting because they don't care about the protests, that's fine too. But remember how they got this opportunity in the first place. Officers who protect and serve vowed within the law enforcement code of ethics, I recognize the badge of my office as a symbol of public faith, and I accept it as a public trust to be held so long as I am true to the ethics of a police service. Imagine having to defend yourself against your own vow. So this is why people are angry. We the civilians don't get a choice who protects and serves us. The men and women who dedicate themselves to becoming an officer have that choice. They are the ones that choose to become the officer. So what they do with that choice is paramount to how society is going to continue. And when you see somebody make a choice so fundamentally unethical and inhumane, it creates a situation like this. The situation of George Floyd's death is not singular to this nation. It's not unrecognizable. Those who live in fear of themselves becoming the next George Floyd are not alone in race or ethnicity, sex or gender, creed or religion or nationality, because nobody has their choice of officer. This country is crying out in desperation on its last breath because for too long there has always been the knee on the neck of those who are born different of the knee. This message is for those who think the rioting and looting don't serve the cause. How many times have you posted something like this already and only got 5 to 10 people to like it and agree with you? How many likes did you get for supporting the peaceful protests? Because at the end of all of this, that's all the peaceful protests are. They are gatherings of people searching for like-minded people to agree with them, because you'll never get the people who don't care to care just because you're telling them to care. So when you see rioting and looting, then you see the people who didn't care start to care. They'll always care when their privileges are at stake. They'll always care when it's no longer peaceful, because that means they'll have to think about this for an extra fucking minute. I know there are people out there who wouldn't know George Floyd's name if there wasn't non-peaceful protests, because there are people who are out there with the privilege to not have to know about this side of our nation. They're the same people that want stores to open back up in the middle of this pandemic. They'll fight for their right to get a haircut, but then turn around and not understand why the death of George Floyd is causing so much chaos to their sheltered world. If you disagree with any of this, that's fine. I'm not here to be a beacon of truth or, a opinion that should matter to you if you don't care. This is more kind of just me processing this whole situation and having to think about, like, if somebody I knew was in that video, man, fuck that. If you don't care about this, that's your own, issue. If you think the rioting and looting is unnecessary, tell me what would happen if someone you love died. Tell me you wouldn't want to burn the whole fucking thing down and start over, because at this point it's getting so bad. I don't think, it won't last forever, and I don't think the riots and the looting will last forever, obviously, because it can't. People will forget and will wait again another year for another George Floyd, and we'll do this whole shit all over again. But don't forget about this. Don't forget about what happens when someone who signs up to protect and serve completely just doesn't care about their oath anymore. And don't think that these riots won't happen again, because they will, and we'll have learned nothing from this. And that got really dark at the end. I'm sorry, and I'm going to end it there before I just say too much. So, George Floyd, rest in peace. And everyone just stay safe out there. And officers, just, you're not the one that would do that. So coach the ones you suspect could do that, and make them not do it. I don't know. Good luck. I love all of you, and thanks for watching.